What's going on YouTube? This is Shoke, and obviously this is my unboxing video of the Switch 2. I did not do a midnight release like most people. My idiotic self actually didn't check to see which Best Buy stores were actually doing a midnight release in my area. So I just ended up getting it, today in the morning, no biggie. And despite the fact that it wasn't the midnight release crowd, there actually was a pretty good number of people there, the following morning. So that combined with everything else I've been seeing people saying about their launch experiences and seeing pictures of all the lines and stuff, yeah, I think the system is definitely going to be breaking some records. Also, shouts to Best Buy. I didn't have any cancellation issues with them. The line was really fast. Not that I was like that far back in. I was maybe like the 11th person or something like that in line. Got it really fast in and out. I would highly recommend y'all for future console releases to do Best Buy. They are reliable. They're not going to cancel your order like Walmart and Target and all that. Screw Target's website. Do Best Buy. They got you. But yeah, let's get into the unboxing. I'm going to start with the Switch here first. Obviously, I got the bundle here because I was not about to spend $80 for a Mario Kart title. I'm sorry. I don't care what reason or excuse Nintendo themselves give. Just paying $80 for a Mario Kart game is just wild to me. But, do what you want with your money. Do what you want with your money. Wow, this is actually I mean, I've seen the size comparisons online between like the Switch and Switch 2, but in person it's like, oh wow, yeah, it's noticeably bigger. Let me see if I can grab my Switch. Oh shoot, can I get through here without the way I have everything set up at the moment is rather curious, so here we go. All right. Yeah, so just to give you guys a size comparison here. Yeah, I have my camera sitting on the back of my chair. I have it really ghetto rigged right now. But yeah, like Switch 2 is definitely taller. Definitely wider. That is a much, much bigger screen. That's way bigger. Looks really clean. Looks really high quality. Hmm. I like it has a little bit more heft compared to the Switch. I kind of like that. I prefer like heavier feeling handheld devices. It just I don't know. It's more satisfying to like hold, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm alone or weird on that or not. All right, now here are the Joy-Con 2.0s. Now, I wasn't really a fan of the original Joy-Cons. I thought they felt very like plasticky and kind of toy-like, and of course you have the drift and everything. But okay, yeah, these feel much higher quality. I can definitely confirm that. Um, Turning them sideways, yeah, those trigger buttons are a lot better to hit. It definitely helps, especially with someone like me. I'm 6'2", so I'm going to have like slightly bigger hands than the average person. I much prefer the bigger size Joy Cons here. Let me flip that so they're actually on the right corresponding sides. That feels nice. I'm sorry. That whole time I was like up here showing you guys on this camera. I forgot about that camera. My bad. But yeah, these feel pretty nice. And let's get a Joy-Con size comparison here. OLED, well, not that the OLED is different, but pretty sizable difference. So if you have larger hands like me, you'll definitely prefer these Joy-Cons. The overall build feels a lot better, honestly. Like just doing the sticks, just rounding them like this, really, really smooth. Almost rubbery. And I know they talked about this in an interview about what they did with the sticks. I can't remember exactly what they said they incorporated, but yeah, just like moving them around the edges is just super smooth. Honestly, these are probably the most like glidey feeling sticks I've ever touched. Like I'm not even capping. That's pretty nice. Huh. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and let's see what the magnetic attachment is like here. Let's see. Hmm. Yeah, that's really satisfying. This is a really nice looking system, y'all. Like I know it's like basic and simple. Personally, I like that. Like I'm a minimalist, you know, when it comes to like style and stuff like that. I like my electronics in just a nice sleek black, you know, like look what I'm wearing right now, you know. I'm a black guy, no pun intended. Um, but yeah, this looks really nice, and we have a proper, adequate kickstand here in this little groove that you can use to dig that out there. Oh yeah, and that's stable. That's pretty stable. Like I actually have to use some intentional force to like really move it and push it, you know? Yeah, so far, just without even turning the system on, just talking about the hardware, this feels really nice, and it is definitely a step up in quality compared to the original Switch for sure. I wasn't too crazy about the hardware for the Switch, but this one, yeah, and that's relatively easy to remove. Like, of course, when they announced that these were magnetic, everyone was scared. Like, oh, like are they going to be difficult to push in or not really push in, but you know, put in and take out. But so triggers here on the inside of the shoulder buttons and the triggers, just hit that, and it comes out pretty easily. Goes in pretty easily. Wobble test because a lot of people were worried about the side connectors here, which if you know anything about engineering, you should know like of course they're not going to make something like that and it's going to be some dog shit. But at the same time, it is Nintendo. It is the you know console manufacturer. Sometimes they do make cheap stuff. So, but yeah, no, that's not. It's like barely wobbling, and I'm putting in a moderate amount of force. Like of course I'm not trying to like break anything, but I am like testing it. You know, and yeah, those are not budging. Yeah, that feels great. That's nice. Yeah, so far the physical build of the system, I'm a fan. All right, let's see what else is in the box here. I'm not entirely sure. Actually, does it come with the little Joy-Con grip, or is that something you have to buy separately? I'll be whack. Oh, okay, no. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so pretty much the same as the Switch ones, just of course a little bit bigger to accommodate the size. I don't think there's any additional features to the grip slash holder compared to the Switch one, but yeah, looks nice, looks cool. Probably be more comfortable, like I said, for people with bigger hands. Bigger Joy Cons mean bigger grip as well. And these are the little sliders for the Joy Cons here. Let me see. How does this go on? Black on the bottom. There we go. Right? No? Am I putting it in the wrong way? Hold on. I think I'm putting it in on the wrong side. No, it should be this side because this has the black sliders on the end, so it should be. Oh, there we go. There we go. Hmm. It's kind of awkward because I'm standing up, but okay. Further down, yeah, that doesn't feel too bad. Yeah, huh? I'll have to really test it on the desk, but it slides nice. I'm not gonna say like, oh, it feels just like using a mouse, but it definitely feels a lot more intuitive than you would originally assume. The only thing that kind of feels awkward is having to hit the side buttons when you're using it in mouse mode, using your thumb. If you're like an MMO player and you have those mice with like the additional buttons on the side, it might feel natural to you, but it might be a little weird getting adjusted to that. But that feels really nice, actually. And I am definitely excited to play some Prime 4 with these. Wish it was a launch title, but you know Nintendo. They don't like to compete with themselves sometimes, so they weren't going to put a bunch of titles close together like that. Then we're going to have Mario Kart at launch, and then Metroid at launch or in the launch window, and then also DK. They wouldn't do that. All right, AC adapter here for that. And last but not least, the dock. Let's just get this off the table. Get all the plastic off. A little bit of cleaning as we go. All right. Here's the Switch 2 dock. Also, noticeably a little heftier than the Switch One's dock. How does this bad boy pop open? Let me see. Oh, there we go. Okay. So it kind of opens from the top, it seems like. Have a built-in Ethernet port this time. Thank you for that, Nintendo. Should have originally been the Switch One's dock, but you know how it is on Nintendo side. You know, we catch up with things. 15, 20 years later. You know, it's all good. You know, we got voice chat in 2025 for the first time ever. You know, no biggie, right? Freaking Nintendo, man. Y'all better be lucky y'all make such good games. If y'all didn't make good games, man, oh my god, this company would be trash. But yeah, Doc feels nice. Like overall, like especially for first iteration hardware, everything seems really high quality. Like usually Nintendo's first versions of handheld devices leave a lot to be. How do you take these off? Hold up. I don't need to press a button or anything, do I? Oh, okay. There's a button at the top. I don't know how well y'all can see that. Yeah, right there. I assume you press that in, and that's how you get it to come off, right? Okay, maybe not. I think I'm tripping. Okay, there we go. All right. But yeah, like when I got the Switch One, immediately I was like, oh, this is cool, it's a new system, sure, and all that, but the big bezels on the screen, why am I don't have to hold it. It actually has a kickstand. But yeah, like the big bezel on the Switch One screen, which I don't have out at the moment, I only have my OLED. Actually, I do have my original over there. You guys know what it looks like. Whatever. I don't have to talk about it. Yeah, I didn't like the bezel. I didn't like the feel of the Joy Cons. Like I said, I thought they felt very plasticky. I knew there's going to be issues just based off of the way that they felt. The kickstand was absolutely garbage. So there was a lot to be desired. The original DS was like really big and bulky. The original 3DS didn't have like the circle pad, right? They had like the circle pad Pro, and all that. But Nintendo really seems like they finally invested their money that they've been making, their gangbusters, into the first iteration of their hardware, and this actually feels nice. Now, of course, there's going to be a refresh. There'll probably be an OLED model later down the line, but until then, honestly, and this is without me even playing it, turning it on type deal. I think I'm good. This is some nice feeling hardware, honestly. It really feels like a premium product. Like I'm not gonna lie. This is a huge step up from their first initial offerings. I'm actually pretty impressed so far. Go ahead and take those off. And yeah, putting these on and on, on and off feels a lot better than with the first Switch, honestly. Just going ahead and try out the puppy dog Joy-Con holders here. Okay. Yeah, still, of course, not my preferred method of playing games, but due to the size increase, definitely feels a lot better for me compared to the original. Let me get the original here, actually, because I see one right here. Let's see. That feels pretty nice for what it is. You can't have something like this feel just like a controller, but feels okay. Like I wouldn't mind playing games on that if I had to. I also managed to pick up the Pro controller. We're going to go ahead and give my impressions of that as well. Let me get this open. I can't find my knife. I have a knife somewhere, but all the moving, when you move and you just like lose things during the move, that always happens to me every time. And I think my knife is the latest victim of my many lost possessions. This tape is like low key hard to get off. Hold up. All right, there we go. All right. Why is that packed so tightly? All right, USB-C charge cable, of course. Yeah, so same thing. Yeah, whatever they did with the Joy-Cons, same thing with the Pro Controller. This is smooth, man. What the hell? This D-pad is better. I can confirm this D-pad is better. A lot of people were worried about it compared to the Switch Pros. I'm not saying this is perfect. I think there's definitely still room for improvement on it, but it is a noticeable step up from previous Nintendo D-pads. It's not as like sharp. It doesn't like cut your fingers as much, and it's a lot more kind of rolly. If you guys use DualShocks, if you've like historically played on PlayStation, it feels a lot closer to PlayStation's like kind of crosshair D-pad. It's a lot more rolly like that. So this is actually, I wouldn't actually mind playing fighting games on this now. The face buttons, nice and big, as you can see. Pressing those feels really nice. They press in smooth as well. Very, very low noise. Like, yeah, this is not a clacky controller at all. I don't know how well you guys can hear that, but yeah, you can definitely play this. You can play a input heavy game right next to someone sleeping, and this wouldn't disturb them. This is like really minimal volume. The triggers digital, of course, but they feel nice. These are some good feeling digital triggers. Shoulder buttons are nice. Damn. Headphone jack, of course. That's what the front of it looks like. And then of course you have these two. I forget what they're called. What like paddle buttons is what people call them or something. Not sure if I would use those. I've had controllers that have those, but I've never programmed the inputs to them. Um, but maybe there'll be certain games where I feel like using that with. But yeah, dang. I'm trying to think of something I don't like about this controller actually, but I kind of can't. Like all the hardware so far is checking out, and this is a good sign because Nintendo has had hardware issues, pretty consistently since probably what like the Wii era, but it really seems like this time they weren't cheaping out. I know there's a whole thing about like Nintendium, and it's like, yeah, their stuff has always been tough and it'll last, so I'm not taking that away from them, but we've always had issues with like Wiimotes and you know, uh, pro controllers, drift on them, the drifting on the Joy Cons, all that type of stuff. But this is, it's almost like they got whole new engineers to make this controller. And these buttons are bigger than the buttons on the Switch Pros. Nintendo's always kind of been known for like the little flatter, bigger buttons, GameCube A button type of stuff. Yeah, this feels really nice. I'm actually really excited to play with this controller. And not only am I going to use it to play my Switch, I am going to use this controller for my PC games as well. This feels really nice. So all this hardware, honestly, the score is kind of rudimentary because I haven't really spent time with the console yet, considering I just unboxed it. But I don't know that it 9.5 out of 10, like 4.5 stars. This feels really nice. This feels really nice. I like the kickstand is good. The system itself looks really sleek and sharp. Does it already come with any battery in it? Oh, it does. Okay. Okay, now I can actually see the amount of bezel on here. There's a decent amount on the sides. It's asking me to put the Joy-Cons on. But the screen itself is just so much bigger than even the OLED to where the bezel doesn't bother you so much because you have plenty of screen size. Oh, that feels so nice. That feels very nice. Gotta turn this up so y'all can hear it. Now, one thing that's kind of disappointing for me regarding this system, and it's not a big deal, okay? I'm not saying like, oh, curse Nintendo and oh, I'm dropping so many points, for the sake of just, doing it or just forcing a critique out there. But this is something I felt before the system even came out. I don't like that the UI is way too close to the Switch. Again, I understand in hindsight and in the grander scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. But for me, part of what makes a system feel like a new system is also having different firmware or a different operating system on it as well. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of disappointed that as far as when the system is on, it kind of feels like you're just on the original Switch. Did I forget my Wi-Fi password? I might have forgotten it or misspelled it. Also, speaker quality is solid too. Like, yeah, that's nice. Huh. So, an easy way for me to put this is this feels like a revision model that they've done at launch. So when they actually do the inevitable revision, whether it's OLED or whatever, that's going to feel incredible. That's going to be an amazing system because this already feels really good. I think I need to do the capital first. I just want to give like a brief rundown on the UI because I'm sure there's like a little differences and stuff like that, but it's asking me to connect to the internet first before I get to the system here. I could probably skip it, but okay, I think I forgot my Wi-Fi password. But hey, this is just an unboxing and largely a hardware review in the first place. Like I said, by the time this video is up, I will be up on my Twitch. But so far, two thumbs up for me. I'm enjoying the system already, just off the quality build alone. I love good looking electronics. I love good feeling electronics, particularly if it's something that is handheld. There it is in the dock. Pretty much looks the same. I do prefer the more rounded look of the dock. I didn't really like the super rectangular look of the original one. But yeah, this is oh, I forgot to open up the card slot here. Very cool, yeah. Yeah, honestly, man, I mean, unless you're just not interested in anything at launch, which I understand because the launch is pretty sparse. Like all modern launchers have launched. I can't speak. All modern launches have pretty much been, but people try to single out Nintendo because it's just easy to target them, and it's the latest grifting in the gaming community these days. But um, if you're on the fence, man, I would say get it. I would say get it. Um, as long as there's at least two things that you'd want to play. If you've like never played Cyberpunk or something, hey, you can get a pretty good build of it to play on the go. On the go. Of course, there's Mario Kart. There's some RPGs on here and whatnot. And Donkey Kong does come out in a month, so um, yeah, I'll say if you're on the fence, I'd say do it. If you're not like a diehard fan or something like that, I would say no because for me personally, there's not that much software out there to really justify it. But if you've missed out on a lot of things, if there's games that have launched on here that you haven't played yet, you might as well pick them up on Switch because this is the first Nintendo system that we have had in some time that is actually relatively on par and is performing at the same level as Microsoft and Sony's offerings. You know what I mean? With the Wii, we were still on 480p when the competition was at HD, mostly 720. And then once they got to 1080p, most Wii U games were like 720. You know what I mean? And then Switch, we got Switch games running at 540 and stuff like that, right? So the main reason why I was excited for this system is I'm like, oh my god, this is the first Nintendo system where we're gonna have non-crusty Nintendo games, like since the GameCube. You know what I mean? Like finally they're not gonna look crusty and you can actually buy third-party games. And while they may not be the best versions on this system, they are going to be completely perfectly viable and fine versions to play. It's not gonna be some it's like some gimped doo-doo version of the games where it's like you can't even get the real experience. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited for the future of this system. I think I've been saying this on Twitter for a couple years now. I think the Switch 2 has the potential to be like a smudge. I like washed my hands and everything. I don't know where that came from. I think this has the potential to be like a modern Nintendo Renaissance. I really think the Switch 2 has a chance to have the best Nintendo library in a very long time, if not ever, because this is coming off the success of the Switch. The Switch already had a really good library after Nintendo unified their handheld and console divisions. And so adding that with what will likely be the most third party support they've ever had and their games finally running and looking and performing well, I think this console has all the ingredients and all the makings of a of not like success is putting it lightly. I think this system is going to break records. I think this is going to be potentially Nintendo's most successful system. Even if it doesn't sell as much as the Switch, I'm still going to say it's going to be the most successful in terms of library and just overall, value and appeal to all consumers. You know what I mean? As far as the gaming sphere goes, um, yeah, like I said, they're finally having skimped down on the hardware. It's powerful enough. It looks good. The screen is good. 120 hertz. Everything feels great. The controllers and the Joy Cons feel amazing, particularly the sticks. I'm digging it, man, and I'm ready to go ahead and play some games on this thing. So I'm going to be playing a lot of fast racing, and I'm going to be playing, of course, Mario Kart because I got the bundle. So join me over at Twitch, guys. I will see y'all over there. Thank you for watching. Peace.